Completely round as the perfect pearl the oyster manufactures. Completely round as the steering wheel that leads to compound fractures. Completely round the lovely fruit of the orange tree. The perfect shape completely round, and sad to say it can be found in the dirty, rotten runaround my true love gave to me. My true love gave to me.
And that was Mike Miller. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Ray, it's good to see you again.
And you're on Fiddles and Frets. That's the name of the show here. And Mike, you're
I'm on Pins and Needles, actually.
That's right. And Mike's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you've been playing folk music a long time.
It's been about 5 minutes since we started this one.
How about before that?
Before that, I would guess I've been playing folk music. Well, actually, all of us have been playing folk music all our lives. But I've been playing professionally since I was 12, which would make it a long, long time, over 50 years.
And it just goes to show that you can make a living playing folk music.
That's all I do.
And you played during the folk scare, right? In the 60s?
I played during the folk scare and before it and after it.
Did you ever go to, did you ever live in Greenwich Village at all?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I used to go up there. As a matter of fact, I recently went to, I don't know if I could say this on your air.
You can say it.
It was the Old Farts Reunion, and it was the New York Old Time Bluegrass Association, whatever it is. They were having the reunion from the Sunday afternoon sessions in Washington Square, and a bunch of guys, all of whom you would know. They're like legends in bluegrass. And I knew them, except I was there long before they were, because I go back to the late 50s, and they really started in the 60s.
I recently read a book that Dave Van Ronk had written before he passed away.
Right.
And for example, I remember him talking about Roger Sprung used to be up there.
Yes. In fact, those Washington Square sessions were started not so much by Roger. Actually, his brother George was the one who took out the original licenses. You had to get a city permission to have a gathering of folk singers.
Yeah. And who are some other people that you got to be friends with up there?
Well, at the time in the 50s, Roger, Eric Weisberg, I think you know Eric and Steve Mandel, who were the guys, the banjo and guitar on dueling banjos in Deliverance. Let's see who else was up there at the time. Theo Bickel was up there at the time. Cynthia Gooding was up there at the time. Oscar Brand was up there. The singer-songwriters were just starting. That would be Bob Dylan, Tom Paxton, Phil Oakes, Peter Lafarge. Remember Peter Lafarge?
Yeah. In fact, I'm playing one of his songs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. What was the one he did about the Ira Hayes? Was that his?
I don't know.
Who was the girl? Oh, Buffy.
But St. Marie.
Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to remember everybody who was up there. Gee, there are a million people up there. I'm not quite sure. I used to spend a lot of time up there because that's where a lot of people were. But we had a lot of wonderful people here in Philly, too, back in the late 50s and early 60s. A lot of whom became professionals. We used to have our own meeting place downtown Philadelphia, a coffee house called the Gilded Cage.
Yeah.
And we had our folk singing sessions there on Sunday afternoon. I guess that was like traditional. And then every night during the week we would get together and jam in the back room, and that's where we all learned.
Mm-hmm. I know we've had over the years we've made jokes and had comments about what is folk music, and it was interesting because I was reading that book by Dave Van Ronk. It said, "Well, this sounds just like Mike Miller."
Well, yes, occasionally he did sound intelligent. That's not fair. I like Dave Van Ronk. He was a wonderful singer, a not very good bridge player, but a wonderful singer.
And but I've absolutely agree with your what is your definition of folk, which I absolutely agree with.
folk music is something that represents a folk. A folk is a people. It's not a person, it's a people. It's a group, it's an identifiable group. It's generally, these songs are ritual songs. They're almost all songs of rituals. But when I say rituals, I don't mean that you have to, like be in a church for a ritual. A ritual is anything that's repeated, that's done. Again, as a matter of fact, the concept of tradition, you can't invent tradition. Tradition is something that happens year after year. That's how it becomes a tradition. And the songs that were songs of those traditions are the folk songs that you can have folk songs of any kind of a ritual. The ritual can be religious, it can be courting, it can be cheers at a football game, it can be prayers, obviously, it can be national anthems. Those are all folk songs.
Why don't you do one of your favorites?
One of my favorites. Okay, I actually hadn't thought about doing actual songs on this thing, but I guess
you know a couple. I know.
Yeah, I know a couple. Let's see now. I'm glad you brought up the point about what folk songs is, because it's always the singer-songwriters who want to get in on that. And it's not that you can't write a folk song, you just can't write one on purpose. I mean, you can write a folk song that other people will turn into a folk song, as Ned Washington did when he wrote Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I mean, he didn't intend to write a folk song, it just worked that way. Or Irving Berlin with God Bless America. It just happened to turn out that way.
How about Happy Birthday?
Happy Birthday, perfect example. And what was the name of the woman who wrote that? Do you remember?
I don't.
Because it just went out of copyright.
Did it really? Okay.
It just went into PD.
Because I was somewhere and some kind of folk thing, and they were saying that a lot of movies didn't want to put it in because they had to pay royalty.
Because you have to pay a royalty, yeah, and you have to get permission. One of the best ways to do that is to write a religious song, because that's something that is liable. I did a CD last year for Range Records, and the CD had all old traditional songs except this one, and this one is a gospel song, and I kind of like when people sing it with me. So, Ray, you can sing this with me, okay?
I'll give it a shot.
I'll give you the words. The words go, fair weather friends, fair weather sailors, they'll leave you stranded on life's shore.
I remember that.
One good friend who truly loves you is worth the pain your heart endures. It goes like this. Fair weather friends, fair weather sailors, they'll leave you stranded on life's shore. But one good friend who truly loves you is worth the pain your heart endures. Try with me. Fair weather friends. Fair weather friends, fair weather sailors. Fair weather sailors, they'll leave you stranded on life's shore.
On life's shore.
But one good friend,
one good friend
who truly loves you,
who truly loves you is worth the pain.
Your heart endures.
Your heart endures.
That's nice. You never know which way the wind will blow, or where or when the next turmoil will be. He's a solid rock when troubles flow, and he's holding out a saving hand to me. Fair weather friends, Ray.
Fair weather friends,
fair weather sailors,
fair weather sailors,
they'll leave you stranded on life's shore.
On life's shore.
Nice. One good friend, but
one good friend,
nice, who truly loves you
is worth the pain.
The heart endures.
The heart endures.
He'll be a refuge in the storm. He'll be the beacon in the night. In the chilly winds of doubt, he'll keep you warm. And when you lose your way, he'll be your light. Fair weather friends, fair weather friends, fair weather sailors, I love it. Fair weather sailors, one good friend who truly loves you,
who truly loves you,
is worth the pain heart endures.
the heart endures. Made me think of folk music, since it's folk, not one folk, but a bunch of folk, is
Right.
meant to be sung by
It's
a bunch of people.
absolutely meant to be sung. It's meant to be sung. It's being a professional performer kind of skews the concept of folk music, because folk music is generally sung by people together. That's that ritual together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like there are not professional folk singers who sing solo. A cantor is a professional folk singer with a health plan. You know, he's out there and he's singing that, I guess a shantyman on a ship is out there singing in order to get people to take and sing with him. So I guess you could have that, but really the idea of separating audience from performer, I know you remember this because you're real old.
I am.
You are. But folk song concerts used to be very different than they are today. Very, very different. They're more like rock concerts. They used to be like rock concerts. I've seen a couple rock concerts, and every time I go, the people are not in their seats. They're up there dancing and they're singing. That's the way folk song concerts used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You never went to a Pete Seeger concert to sit in your seat.
Well, I was going to say, because Pete always said, everybody needs to sing, because everybody can sing. Of course, I do think that some of the contestants on American Idol take that a little too far.
Well, to tell you the truth, I've never seen American Idol. I don't have to. I used to watch The Gong Show.
There you go. One of the things that I've always been, I don't know if impressed is the right word, but you're an excellent guitar player. But a lot of, you sing a lot of folk songs which are meant to be played
Right.
simply. And, it could be very tempting for a performer to show their licks on every song, etc., on and on.
What a losing idea, too. For about 30 years, I ran the big campfires at the Philadelphia Folk Festival, and the campfires were run for the most part without microphones and without amplifiers, and you're out there in this campground of about 5,000 people reveling and having a wonderful time for the weekend, and we have no way to amplify what we're doing. So when someone would come over to the campfire and offer to do a song, as you have done, and you were great, and I would tell you, I said, no matter what you do, make sure it's a sing-along song. Make sure it's a sing-along song, and don't do any instrumental breaks. And people thought that I was trying to hem them in and not let them be stars, but I was trying to save them, because you couldn't hear the instrumental breaks. And if you can't hear it, you have dead air. It's like, you're on radio. You have dead air. That's the way to lose your audience. And you would get people out there to do the song that they just wrote that afternoon, and nobody knew it, and you couldn't hear them. See, when people sing together, that increases the volume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when we had everybody singing together, and you know that we had hundreds of people around that campfire, and we could out-sing the people banging on the spotted pots, because we could out-sing them. And people like to sing, right? People really enjoy singing once you let them do it. Once you encourage them to do it. As a matter of fact, for the most part, that's what I do.
Yeah, you play at all kinds of different places.
Yeah.
What are some of the venues, if we could use that in its quotation marks?
Well, it's not just in quotation marks. Most people, when they get into the entertainment business as singers or performers, they have this strange idea as to where the venues are. They think of folk festivals, or they think of concerts, or they think of recordings, and that's where they think the jobs are. Those are the jobs for just a few people. And yet there are thousands and thousands and thousands of venues where working musicians and working performers play all the time. I've often said that if you're in folk, or in any kind of traditional music, if you're an eclectic traditional performer like I am, your audiences usually are very young or very old. Kid shows are very, very big for folk singers. So that's schools, that's libraries, that's museums, that's camps. That's I do a lot of strolling,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is at like civic events or at fairs or stuff like that,
Right.
where I'll walk around with a banjo, generally a tenor banjo because they're nice and loud, and I'll just go up to people and we'll start singing. Especially with kids, it's very easy to sing with kids because I can just take a kid, I can take their name and make it into a song. And there's nothing a kid likes better than to have their name done as a song, or else their mother's name, or something like that, and that's cool. There are lots of other jobs. There's seniors jobs are very, very big. Senior centers, nursing homes, retirement homes, stuff like that. Lots of jobs. There are ethnic jobs. I do a lot of Jewish jobs, a lot of klezmer jobs. I do a lot of things for holidays, a lot of Irish jobs. Well, I used to live in Ireland. Um, Italian jobs. There's just a million different venues that a folk singer can work in that things like Sing Out, which is basically a fanzine,
Mm-hmm.
never talk about because the kind of thing that we know about are what comes across in our CDs. And I like the CDs. As you know, I do a CD review
That's
column
right.
for Tune Up Magazine because I want to encourage people to do that. But I also tell them, if you want to work, I'll tell you where to work. There's lots of jobs.
Yeah, you can't go in there and do your original songs and get too much out of that.
It's tough. That's what's tough. Respect goes out to guys like you who are the singer-songwriters because that's very tough to find a niche for that. It's very tough to find a venue for that. If you're well known, if you're famous, it's easy to get
Mm-hmm.
work. That's
Yeah.
not a problem. The problem is if you're not. People understand. The people who hire people to perform, they understand concepts, but they don't understand Joe Blow, singer songwriter. They don't understand what that means.
Well, it sounds like a part of what you're saying is, uh, people know they're creative with their music, but then they're not creative with where they do their music. They're kind of boxed in to coffee houses or wherever like that. But there's also a way to be creative in terms of places to share your music.
Yes, and you can even do that as a singer-songwriter, but you'd have to then have the material that would fit where you're going.
Right.
Certainly, there are so many singer-songwriters among kids performers. Rafi's an obvious example,
Mm-hmm.
but there's lots of people who can do that. And even in the ethnic things, I have a friend named Fran Avni, who's a wonderful performer who specializes in children's Hebrew and Yiddish. In fact, she's quite an expert on it. And she does concerts and workshops around the country. She's become quite well known in that area, but and she writes the songs for the English word, the holidays.
Uh-huh.
And she's very, very big and very popular with that. You can do it as a songwriter, but you have to have a market in mind. You can't just do it to express yourself. It's not that easy.
Well, that's some good words of wisdom for any performers, folk singers listening, where they maybe able to take their music. Tell you what, let's do another song, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the song, where it came from, and just give us a little history lesson on the song.
Okay. I just thought of one because you mentioned Roger Sprung, and Roger, who is I think the world's oldest teenage girl. That's Roger is a bluegrass banjo player from New York City who lives in Connecticut. And Roger sang this song for me many years ago, and I checked it out. This is one of the nonsense songs that were very popular around the turn of the century, not the 21st, the other one. Oh, this also is a sing-along song, because as you know, all my songs are sing-along songs. So I will sing you the chorus, and then you can come and help me. It's great to have you here, by the way. Oh, a man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away. Got it?
I got the last line.
A man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away. Here we go. Oh, a man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away. That's good. Well, a man comes to our house, comes to collect the trash. He's tall, dark, and handsome, and he's got a nice mustache. I don't understand why my mama says to me, you don't have to tell your papa everything you see. Oh, a man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away. A man comes to our house, comes to sell the brush. He comes around in a hurry and he leaves in a rush. I'm awful young, but it seems to me that he's a lot nicer than a brushman ought to be. Oh, a man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away. You'll get this, I swear. Well, when I grow up, I don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer with a big family, or a butcher or a baker with a business downtown. I just want to be the man who comes around. Oh, the man comes to our house every single day. Papa comes home and the man goes away. Papa does the work and Mama gets the pay, and the man comes around when Papa goes away.
Now, is that a written song, or is that a...
Well, that's probably a song that evolved into folk the way so many songs do. All songs are written songs, Ray.
Well,
somebody writes a song all the time.
within the last 100 years.
Probably within the last 100 years, but this is how songs become folk. I guess you can start out to write a folk song. I guess we've done that a couple times when we just did like a satire on a song and
a parody or something. Yeah.
A parody. But a song becomes a folk song if we adapt into it, okay? So that song, I'm sure, was a clever song written for the vaudeville stage or something like that. And it started to get sung by lots of people, but not just the people on the stage. So that I learned the song, or Roger learned the song, and I heard it around campfires when I was in Boy Scouts. We used to sing songs like that when I was in the Scouts, sitting around the campfire. We'd sing stuff like that, and we'd sing, let's see now, oh, you can't get to heaven, on the Frankfurt L, because the Frankfurt L goes straight to Frankfurt. Remember that? Okay.
No, but that's okay.
I ain't gonna grieve my Lord no more. I ain't gonna grieve my Lord no more. All those songs were at one time straight songs that we adapted in. You can take a regular song, it doesn't make any difference what it is. Folk songs can be fun. It can be like circumstantial. Like, I'm looking over a four-leaf clover. All right, now that was certainly written as a commercial song, no question about that. I don't know who wrote that. Maybe Chauncey Olcott or somebody wrote that back in the 1910s or something. But I promise you that on January 1st of every year, that's a folk song. Because that's what they play walking up Broad Street, shivering, trying to stay warm.
That's right. Drinking
the most they can to stay warm. It's just a question as to, and it becomes ritual. And of course, the Mummers Parade is a great ritual that a lot of the stuff comes from. But it's the same kind of thing that you and I went to when we went to camp. There were camp songs. That's a good example of making up songs for that. So that there's a song called, I had heard it originally as an army song, which was, oh, the sandwiches that they serve you, they say are mighty fine. One fell off the table and killed a pal of mine. Oh, I don't want no more of army life. Gee, Mom, I want to go, but they won't let me go. Gee, Mom, I want to go home, which everybody in the service knew. And the reason I said you can make it into a folk song is because I've used that song twice, changing the words. One time was at the folk festival. Okay? For instance, and here we go, taking a chance with your audience again. Okay? Here's a folk festival verse. In fact, we wrote about 40 of them. Let's see now. Oh, the weather at the festival is something of a failure. If you object to snow and rain up to your genitalia, I don't want no more a festival. Gee, Mom, I want to go, etc., etc., okay? And we did the same thing when I worked at Shriners Hospital. I was at Shriners Hospital on a matching grant from the Philadelphia Folk Song Society to do music therapy with the kids. And there, we took that song again, and we turned it into our song at Shriners Hospital, okay? And we would sing about, let's see now, the nurses at the Shriners, they say are mighty fine, but if you get them mad, they turn into Frankenstein. Oh, I don't want no more of Shriners. Gee, Mom, I want to go. You always had the same thing. You can write a folk song, but you can't do it alone. Mm-hmm. You need help.
But you've written some songs, at least parody songs for sure.
Yes.
And you also have a CD out now. You mentioned it earlier. What's the name of that?
It is called Legacy.
And the name of the record company?
Range Records.
Okay.
Range.
And
I feel home there.
And you had some other people playing, Vince?
Yeah, I
right?
did. I had Jerry Sher and Vince Brennan, who I sing with occasionally. They backed me up on a couple songs. Who else did I have playing with me up there? I don't even remember. It's been a while. My mind goes and just goes in and out.
I'll tell you what. Let's do one more song before we go here. And what would you like to do?
Whatever you like.
You know a song I like? It's one of the songs I played. Is it Home on the Range that you do? It's on that CD, isn't it? Or something like that?
Yeah, I don't think I do Home on the Range on that, although I love Home on the Range. That's a wonderful example of a written song, and it was absolutely a written song. They used to call them art songs. I know a lot of folklorists, people who have like doctorates and stuff, and they tell me the difference between an art song and a folk song is an art song was actually written and not changed over the years because it was actually written in music. So people always sang the same thing. I guess national anthems would be art songs. And this, I'm sure, was an art song, and it was written in the late 19th century. But everybody got to know this song. It became almost an American classic. And I loved it so much that I learned all the words. Most people only know, oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, and where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Where the air is so free, and the zephyr so wild, and the breezes so balmy and light, that I would not exchange my home on the range for all of the city so bright. Home on the range, sing with me, right? Home, home on the range, deer and the antelope, where the deer and the antelope play. Seldom is heard, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. How often at night, when the heavens are bright, with the light from the glittering stars. Have I stood there amazed and asked as I gazed, can their wonder exceed that of ours? Home on the range. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, and where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. There's Ray Naylor singing that good harmony.
Did you ever think about writing a book on folk music? I bet you could do it. It would be educational and also very entertaining, knowing you.
I keep on meaning to do that. I keep on saying I'm going to do that. As a matter of fact, I keep on saying I'm going to take most of the reviews that I write, and I'm going to put them together somehow. Because my reviews are about half reviews and half commentary. Well, actually, very little review and mostly commentary. Ray is laughing because I actually did 2 reviews of a CD that you made, one for your use and one for publication. In both cases, I exercised some freedom in terms of what I could say, and had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, I appreciated that you did that. Well, Mike, one more question, and we're going to go out here. You have a website or anything, or where can people get your CD, that kind of stuff?
They can get it from Range Records. I wish I had the Range thing here in front of me. If I had I have all. Oh, wait a second. I actually have. Wow, what a smart move on my part. You betcha I do. Look at this. I actually have my Range Entertainment thing. It's www. I think that means it's a website. Range Entertainment, that's one word, .com. That's who I am.
And
look at that. They can reach me directly at Range. I have my own thing at Range, too. I forgot. Wow. Because I'm a Range Entertainment artist, I get my own little thing there. They can reach me at.
Well, Home on the Range.
Home on the Range. It never occurred to me that you're right. I should have put that on the record, shouldn't I?
Well, next record.
I'm going to do entirely, it's going to be, this is actually very exciting. It's going to be Iranian lullabies and Ray Naylor songs.
There we go. That'll work.
It's going to be, especially I like the cha-chas that you used to write.
Okay, Mike Miller, thanks a lot for joining us, and continued success in your musical career.
Well, what's left of it.